What's up, guys? Welcome to the Outer Nexus. Tonight, we are going to talk about NASA's Halo Gateway project to put an international space station in lunar orbit around the moon so that we could start constructing a lunar base there on the moon. Then we'll get into new advancements in nuclear microreactor technology, how that might actually change the world. But first, we are going to talk about tech sensationalism. Obviously.
What's your favorite big cat?
What's your favorite big? That's a great question. We're going to check one out right now. This has been blowing up over Twitter. And I even reposted this because I was like, man, everyone is talking about this and presenting it as though it's real, but it looks like total bullshit. And I'll show you why. Here we go. Right there. Right. You could already tell.
Kawasaki's Corleo is unlike anything you have seen before. Built with...
Because it's not real. This is not real. I mean, they have like... Hold on. They have like a model for it. Okay? They have it. They come out with it at a convention. This thing. Hang on. Let me pull this up again. See if I can get a really good shot of this. Kawasaki Corleo. This thing. It looks cool. It looks totally badass. I can't find the one where they're at the convention with it, but they have a model of this thing that they just showed off at a convention. But it's clearly CGI. Like the video is very obviously CGI. No,
It's no different than those, the again, those future cars that the companies like to put out there that just like, hey, look at this. This could be what the vision of the future.
The vision of the future. Here, look at this thing. Look. If this was if they were actually showing this off, like when they have the drones that they can stand on a shaky fucking platform and they have a dude like hovering up on it, that dude has like body armor on. He's got he's strapped in. He's ready to be a fucking test pilot. This dude has a jacket flapping in the wind around all these servos in a tundra. It's obviously not fucking real. Like, it's so obvious. And the fact of the matter is, this is the use case for this thing. The way that it's so like, why? Like, and then I realized by the time they actually have this technology where you could ride one of these things, that's when they're going to activate Skynet. And these things you're not going to be riding these things. These things are going to be going through the mountains, hunting you down. Okay. They're going to be hunting you down. And rich people are going to be able to buy 5 of them and put them together into a giant mech like Voltron. And they'll probably have some hormonal teenager pilot it, right? That would be the plan.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
You get 5 of these Zoids, you combine them, and you get some Zoomer to pilot it.
No.
Yeah, that's what your future is going to look like here.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I mean, that's like you said, it's sensationalism.
Yeah,
at its best.
Yeah,
this is a concept. It's a fun one.
It's fun,
but it's not ready yet.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't even know what the use case for this would be. Like, I don't know what the scenario would be to use it in that would like.
The thing is, it's in some ways it could be better than like your standard bike. Like, and I don't mean like a bicycle. I meant like a motorbike.
Yeah.
Over rough terrain, this thing probably does pretty good as long as they got the stabilization correct on it.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a little, it's running. Like
it's running.
It's worrisome in that way.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, either that's bullshit or our material strength has gotten so advanced that we can just pull this shit off now.
Yeah. And I mean, when he jumped over that thing,
Yeah.
I was half expecting, like, you know, the legs to do that, like, retracting thing, and, like, you know, just
Yeah.
jets to
fucking come out like a Gundam.
Yeah, and then he just flies over the
Yeah,
thing.
it turns into
Yeah.
a hover bike thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that. But now to more realistic missions. We are going to talk about this cool thing. NASA is developing a this might be a good picture for it. Here, Gateway project right here. Come on. So this is NASA's Halo Gateway project. It's going to be a modular, basically an international space station that will be in lunar orbit around the moon. Now, there's actually a little bit of drama around this currently. Space drama, space politics, the best kind of drama. Whether this should even be constructed or whether we should go right to the surface of the moon and start building there. But my position is, yeah, we should definitely build in a space station in orbit, in lunar orbit around it first.
Yeah.
That would make the most sense, right?
I would definitely go with, you know, the lunar orbit space station first.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I would much rather
Yeah.
see the base of operations on the moon
Yeah.
itself. But we are not at a spot yet where that is entirely viable.
Yeah.
You can much easier create the artificial gravity needed in a space station.
Yes.
To support longer term missions.
Yeah.
Than you can to have people actually going down to the planet.
Yeah.
And doing it that way.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so this isn't, you know, and it's interesting you bring up the artificial gravity. I'm wondering if they called it Halo for that reason. I don't think they did. I think it has a different meaning for that. Where is it?
Habitation and logistics module.
Yeah. And they just threw the O at the end there. Yeah, they just threw that O at the end there because they're planning on making the Halo rings in the future, obviously. Yeah. And yeah. So let's check out this article a little bit. See what they got to say. Gateway, a deep space home, and so much more. As future Artemis missions establish humanity's long-term presence on and around the moon, habitation elements on the Gateway space station will serve as important building blocks. These elements will not only be a home away from home for astronauts during extended stays in lunar orbit, but also enable additional capabilities in support of Artemis objectives. NASA and its international and commercial partners are building Gateway, humanity's first space station around the moon, to provide core functions to keep astronauts healthy and thriving, including pressurized space for crew to prepare for missions to the lunar surface, conduct science, prepare meals, exercise, and rest. 2 habitable elements will provide this pressurized space where astronauts can live and work. Starting with the Artemis 4, astronauts will work from home with the habitation and logistics outpost Halo module provided by Northrop Grumman and integrated in later missions. I wonder what that work from home means. The Lunar IHAB module provided by European Space Agency. Together, these habitable elements will enable astronaut stays of 30 days or more around the moon. Okay, so maybe they just go up there for a little bit and come back.
Yeah.
The first foundational habitation element will be Halo, followed by personal. What is that? What's the PPE?
Oh, personal protection equipment.
Personal protection equipment. In addition to providing habitation space, Halo will also feature extensive capabilities to ensure success of future Artemis missions, including providing the command and control nexus for all space station systems via the overarching vehicle system manager software suite to enable autonomous station operations, regulating environment characteristics such as temperature and air quality to keep the vehicle in stable condition, data stuff for telemetry, serving as a power distribution hub. Halo's multiple docking ports make it a critical foundation for the fully realized Gateway space station. Additional modules will be added to Halo, including Lunar IHAB and Lunar View, both provided by ESA with contributions from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and Gateway's airlock provided by a future international partner that will dock to Lunar IHAB to support extravehicular activity. The same type of docking ports on Halo and Lunar IHAB will also host visiting vehicles like the Orion spacecraft cargo resupply vehicles to support activities on Gateway and the lunar surface, and lunar landers that will deliver astronauts and their equipment to the moon's surface. So this is a pretty major project to, you know, to facilitate lunar base construction. I mean, what do you think about all this, Billy?
I mean, it's a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to everything that this brings. This is the start. This is the very start. Like,
this is like the beginning of humanity's like real first step into space. I feel like like the ISS, it obviously super important, but we weren't like out there yet.
The ISS was very important in a lot of ways because it was foundational in finding out the answers we needed to, like, can we survive here?
Can we do this?
Yeah. So it answered a lot of those questions, and it did well in its very long lifespan.
Yes.
However, this is the first. Now we're going out and we're staying out.
We're staying out there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
And you heard they are shorter missions.
Yeah.
That is probably for the health of the people involved. There are a lot of long-term issues that pop up when you stay in space.
Yes.
Even for a short amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll address those. But also that statement, work from home kind of thing. I think we're gonna be up there more efficiently. I think that what that means is that we'll be able to get those astronauts up there back and forth much in a much more efficient way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's kind of probably what they meant, is like it's not like the the ISS necessarily, where it's always just like they're there.
Yeah.
And they're 900 plus days.
Yeah.
Granted, I do hope to see that eventually.
Yeah.
And longer.
Yeah.
But right now I think it's more meant to just get them there. They do their time. We can bring them back.
Yeah.
And not only that, it shows that we can do that.
Yeah.
Like, it shows that we can just back and forth now to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty badass. Let's check out just this video on Twitter. See what they got. It's a pretty good little video. Hang on. Pull this up.
Gateway is in of itself a humongous technological marvel. It is the first space station around the moon. It is going to be a very important part of our future exploration missions. We know how to live and work in low Earth orbit, but now it's time to go further. Artemis is going to take us to parts of the moon that we haven't been to before.
Going back to the moon has to be an international cooperation. The resources and the efforts required to make this happen are just too much for any single nation to go on their own.
There's the old saying that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go for a long time, you go together. And so it's going to take a humankind effort to go to the moon and then use that as a stepping stone to go to Mars. To be able to go and do lunar surface exploration missions and do sustainable missions, be able to do long duration missions, go to the moon to stay rather than just to visit like we did during Apollo, we need a space station, and Gateway's that station. The international crews and the international astronauts that are performing these missions will be the first humans that are making their home in deep space.
Think about all that we've learned from the International Space Station as a low Earth orbit laboratory. Gateway will be an extension of that and continue that legacy of science and discovery.
We are going to be learning about deep space exploration. When we're in low Earth orbit, we're protected. When we're around the moon, we don't have that protection. So it is going to affect everything. We have the very unique ability at Gateway to study that radiation. Gateway sounds so science fiction, but it's real and we're building it, and science will never be the same.
So, and I would, there's a lot to that video, but the first thing I'd take away is that it truly will be an international effort. Like, as you could tell, you have all these different space agencies, the ESA, the Japanese Space Agency, and a bunch of private companies all getting into this. I know Aerospace by Robert Bigelow that has confirmed aliens are real. It specializes in these sort of space habitats, these sort of inflatable space habitats. And I'm wondering if they're going to start integrating stuff like this as modules on this Lunar International Space Station. But either way, what do you think? What do you think about this kind of? I mean, we know that the International Space Station is an international effort, obviously.
Yeah.
But to have something like the internet, I would say the International Space Station is an interesting thing that's happening. But the one around the moon is going to be very politically critical, in my opinion, much more politically critical than just the one that's orbiting around Earth.
Yeah.
What do you think about that angle?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's innately political. Like there isn't a way around it. Everybody has to put in the effort to get there.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
But that's beyond the point. And it's going to be like the ISS did well. It showed us a lot of how that was going to work.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a whole new stepping stone because we're trying to build, bases and whatnot out. And I think that is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Is that the gateway will be neutral it'll be ISS like where it's just like we all keep it going.
Right.
But then I think where they're going to really push their individuality for each nation is like now we're building, once we have something established on the ground, now we're going to each go
our own way.
Not our own way, but
they're going to have
I'm going to have my own building over here.
The wings, their own dedicated wings.
Yeah.
And I was thinking along the lines of like, again, the Earth ISS is important, but it feels like a lot of new space startups and just space companies, and even the old ones, there's going to be a significant push to get involved with this. That's what it seems like. So part of all this is, I'm not exactly sure when the ISS was made or when its life support systems were designed, probably in like the 70s and 80s. But now we're talking about, as we're building a new one, people are talking about, using different ways of cleaning the air, different types of life support systems. And I think biotech is going to make a big breakthrough here. Let me just pull this article up. Now, this Space News website, I'm not too sure about this, but it's interesting either way. With NASA's Artemis program preparing for the first crewed moon landing since 1972, life support systems have relied on chemical filtration, physical processing, and non-renewable materials. While effective for shorter missions, these systems become impractical for extended stays beyond Earth's orbit. Transporting enough consumables and spare parts for long-duration moon expeditions or multi-year Mars missions adds significant cost, fuel requirements, and logistical challenges, making resupply-dependent systems unsustainable. Biotechnology offers a scalable alternative, but realizing its full potential requires commitment from governments and space agencies. By harnessing biological processes such as microbial and plant-based systems, space missions can become much more self-sufficient if decision makers prioritize biotech innovation and fund new research and development. These technologies could support air purification, water recycling, and food production, creating the closed-loop environments essential for deep space habitation. Without this investment, missions may remain reliant on costly and logistical challenging logistically challenging resupply efforts, limiting humanity's ability to explore and settle beyond Earth. What do you think about that, Billy?
I mean, there's a lot being said here.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody wants.
Yes.
Everybody wants to see that whole, like, the independent ship or the independent system that's like you can go up there,
Yeah.
and you can stay there for almost ever.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to see it. You have algae, which can help with both breathing and eating.
Yeah.
There are certain algae also that could help, produce fuels.
Yeah.
There's different things like that, but they all sound good.
Yeah.
But they're all in their development stage right now. They are not in any way, shape, or form ready for any kind of final mission.
Yeah.
They're all in their testing stages. They all have their downsides.
Yeah.
And it's about how we're going to implement these systems in the environments that we are trying to, produce.
Yeah.
And like right now, one of the big things that they're trying to test is there's some algae that are good at like surviving.
Yeah.
They have high radiation tolerances.
Yeah.
There are others that do not.
Yeah.
And they do separate things.
Yeah.
So again, it's trying to figure out how to make those things work, because they're delicate systems.
Yeah.
And what do you do if your whole system revolves around that algae?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden something wrong happens, like too much chlorine got put in.
Yeah.
It kills your system off.
Yeah.
You're in deep space.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So there needs to be ways of also planning for the worst with these systems that still is impactful to a mission.
Yes.
And I think that's all the things that they need to get right before we even start seeing these, and it's going to be a while.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's totally accurate. Let me see here. What I found interesting is basically, and another angle of this is they have to actually get up there and test these things. Now, I'm sure they've done a number of testing in the ISS, but they've certainly come to the conclusion that in zero gravity environments, different interactions between these chemicals occurs.
Yes. One of the things they're pushing for right now is we are learning more, and we are better understanding how animals and animal cells behave under these weird space conditions.
Yeah.
0G, high radiation, whatnot.
Yeah.
But they also, and this is the push, is they're trying to also be like, listen, we also need to start bringing plants up here so that we understand how they're reacting to these different environments.
Exactly.
So there is a push for that right now.
Yeah. And I know we talked about this in previous episodes, but also different types of medicine. If you say we have all these habitats and they're up there, we can also start making biolabs and pharmaceutical labs to make medicines in zero-G environments. And those medicines will have different effects.
Yes.
Now you work in stability, so you know a little tiny bit about this. If the construction of what would be different about the construction of pharmaceutical formulas in space in zero-G environments? It would just allow for a much different types of medicines to be constructed, right?
I mean, that's just,
or is it speculative?
It's speculative, but it is based on findings. Like they are finding that you are getting different amounts and different reactions from some of the same things that we would do here.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so like if I had a something that I told you to do here, and I was like, here's the list 1 through 10, do all of these steps.
Yeah.
If you did it here versus up in 0G, depending on what it was, you could get a different, thing at the end.
Right.
And that is what they're looking at. And they have found that is the case. So now they're trying to figure out, what is that thing that's throwing everything off? Is it the radiation? Is it the 0G? Is it allowing better, because of the 0G, everything is kind of in a free floating state.
And it's easy. See, that's the thing about zero G, is that it's easier to manipulate smaller and smaller molecules in zero G into different shapes, structures, basically. And people speculate that this is, well, they don't speculate, they know this is how we can make certain types of metamaterials. If we had manufacturing in space happening in space, we could certainly use zero G way to our advantage in constructing different things.
Yeah.
You know, if we had a workshop to build stuff in.
Yeah.
You know,
And I mean, and so they are working on that, and that is something that we will be seeing definitely more of in the future.
yeah. But another interesting thing, just to throw it in there, is as we are hitting all of these data needs, I think the Department of Energy just freed up a bunch of federal land to start building bigger and bigger data centers. These data centers, they all require cooling. Now, what if you just throw those things in space? You just put data centers in orbit.
Space
In space.
is cold.
Space is cold. Space is
In certain places.
in certain places. Yeah, it's very cold. It would serve well for data centers. Honestly, I think that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome idea.
I mean, I think it's definitely where some of this is going.
Yeah.
The only thing for that is, and again, if you get the gist of it down,
Yeah.
you need a lot of shielding.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we've seen here, and it's even more so in space.
Yeah.
Depending on, again, your shielding.
Yeah.
Is there's that one Mario 64 record.
Yeah.
Unbeatable now.
Yeah.
Why? Because at the moment he went to do a jump, a particle hit on, I forget what it was basically, but it allowed him to do a jump that's impossible.
Yeah.
Because it read that particle as part of the game.
Yeah.
Temporarily, and it gave him like a ultra jump.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is basically these particles can come in and tamper with your data.
Yes.
And so that is one of the things that if you're going to have a data center up in space,
Yes.
you are going to need to shield it.
You are definitely going to need shielding to protect your memory.
Yeah.
But let's get into how are we going to power all these things? What's going to happen? Let's check this out. What is a microreactor? Oh man. This I feel like this is real science fiction here. Now that we're just going to get into it.
It's not science fiction.
It's not science fiction, but it's like
it's just not real yet, and it's like there hasn't been enough done to make this like people should be like expecting. It's coming.
Well, no, I mean, this is like the Department of Energy. They want to make these things.
No, I know.
What I
like
mean?
they're coming. But I meant like this is still down the road. Like you're. I wouldn't say we would get one like you just saw in that truck.
Yeah,
for another 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah,
I think. I don't know if you're right about that. I think they want to roll these things out within the next couple of years. They're going to try to, at the very least. I don't see what. No, yeah. I mean, I don't see this as that far off.
Yeah.
I think this just comes down to regulatory bullshit.
Well,
it has nothing to do with the actual technology itself.
And I should say as well.
Yeah.
There are versions of that.
Yeah, like we know exactly how to make it. The problem is the safety around it.
Well, no, I meant there's versions of like this reactor.
Yeah.
That are less nuclear.
Right.
So you could use one of those.
Yeah.
And we're doing those pretty good. They're just like water cooled reactors.
Yeah.
In general. I mean, as most nuclear reactors basically are.
Look, I'll throw this up here. I just want to pop this. They just dropped this yesterday. Office of Nuclear Energy, U.S. Department of Energy. Microreactors can be used to power military bases. It's always disaster recovery efforts. They always like to throw that in, or remote locations where traditional infrastructure doesn't exist. There it is. That picture that thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real picture though.
I mean, it's. it's obviously CGI, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is this is the Office of Nuclear Energy.
Yeah, they're
saying
trying
that
to get to
to
it.
do this.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
yeah.
like,
if that's obviously it's CGI.
we're
Yeah.
not going to get the ones like for
We aren't.
no for like 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years until that, 15 for the nicer ones.
Yeah.
And then once you get these things, they
Yeah.
should last about 10 years.
Yeah. It looks like Canada is attempting to make it happen on their own.
Well,
is this a
different
different?
thing.
Okay, well then let's talk about this. Maybe you know a little more about this than I do. Modular nuclear reactors are a more cost competitive solution than traditional methods. Canada is trying to pull this off. A Canadian nuclear body has issued a license to construct small modular reactors. Let's see. General Electric Hitachi reactor. Do you know anything about this one in particular?
So I don't know anything about this one in particular. But if I had to just take a swing at this.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're basically taking all the main operations of a regular nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
And they're, again, as the name suggests, making it modular.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I hate to put it this way,
Yeah.
it's like IKEA for a nuclear reactor.
It's IKEA for a nuclear reactor.
You have all the parts, and then you put them together, and
Yeah.
when you're done, you have a nuclear reactor.
I'm ready.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But I would assume that it's also probably lower power, but that's also kind of what they expect it to be. It's not a full-fledged nuclear like it is.
Yeah.
But it's not like one that you custom built out in the middle of a place because like we know everything about this is one that you could take somewhere just like the other one.
Right.
And be like, we're going to construct it here.
Yeah.
And it's going to do well.
Yeah.
But it's not for there permanently.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've gone through all that. We are going to consume pure Chinese propaganda. Let's check this out. Okay. Where they got a picture of it. Here we go. This, I don't know if this is real. Billy says it's not real. I don't think it's real.
It's not that it's not real.
Yeah.
They have these.
Yeah.
What you see is like a real thing.
Yeah.
The problem is they're very like you're not just going to get one.
If that's real, where is my Space Marine armor?
No. That the problem right now with anything of that nature, where it's like I have a battery, 15 nanometers?
15 nano. Oh man. Okay.
One, you need a bunch of these.
Yeah.
And two, once you have them, you need and not too many for like a cell phone, but but once you have them, you need a way to commercially produce these.
Yeah.
And I believe generally across the board, that's the issue that they have with the idea of the nuclear battery.
Yeah.
Is it's very hard to commercially produce the methods used to create that battery.
So just to clarify, they are claiming this is a nuclear battery, declared service life 50 years without recharging. The battery does not emit radiation, and the end it does, but it just turns into ordinary copper at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like a very low grade.
Very low grade.
Radiation?
It's nothing to really worry about.
No. But and you're saying that they can actually make these things, but they're so fucking expensive. It's just where it would never really gonna.
They're so expensive.
Yeah.
And on top of it,
the
next step when you finally make something like that, is like, okay, I have the thing.
Yeah.
Now, how do I make a bunch of them?
Yes.
And that's the commercialization.
Right.
And they do not have that.
They don't have that yet.
And it's expensive. It's not just expensive to make, it's expensive to figure out how to make it. Again, on a commercial level.
Yes. However, once they do commercialize these things, everybody gets Space Marine suits. All right, that's what we're calling it. Please like and subscribe, guys. We'll see you next time.